As always, what's up? All right, we are here today to completely revamp this here classic bike. Hopefully, in today's video is a couple friendly tips to save you pain and anguish like this person's going through. It's been a bit since I've made a video building the new bikes. As you can see in the background, they're all gone, out riding. Both Kents are out riding. Both four-stroke bikes are out riding. And I think there was a Lockland in there somewhere also. And once again, also out riding. Because if you do some quality work, people don't have problems and they get what they pay for and they're happy and they're out riding. Myself, I've had some extra projects going on, and that is why I've had to slow down on the bikes. As you can see my can of insulation over there, that was the scraps left over from the insulation revamp in the shop. I might need those in the rental property we're working on. Got a little dresser restained and polyurethane drying in the back. That is why I thought today would be a perfect day to work on this bike, because I can't get any dust stirred up and do a bunch of grinding and welding. So over to the bike. And as you can see, the saw and my trusty work cart, because we've had multiple projects going on. But like I said, this is a perfect opportunity to get this person's bike started. My first piece of friendly advice is watch who you have build your bike. Not physically watch, but I know there's not a lot of shops out there where you can go professionally have them built. Like you can take your car to get repaired. There aren't motorized bike shops prevalent like that out there in the world. So most people got to find somebody who's into them a little bit or has a handful of them and has always messed with them, and their bikes do pretty well. That would be who I would suggest to have help you with your bike or have them build the bike. Everybody always knows somebody who has a pair of pliers and vice grips. Probably wouldn't have that person build my bike. Now this individual, I know the gentleman from around the neighborhood, if you will. And he had a motorized bike before this one. But unfortunately, somebody thought they needed to own it more than he did. So naturally, it got stolen. Now this individual has to ride at least 10 to 12 miles one way to go to work every day. It's his sole means of transportation, much like others out there that got motorized bikes. It's an economical way to get around without having to pedal yourself to absolute death, going to and from work and doctor's offices and, other places, what have you. But anyway, the bike at hand, it is an old school classic. Too bad they don't build all the bicycles like this anymore. Small tube chassis, but a heavy gauge steel. Back when they used to build bent fenders, they weren't just cheap pieces of tin. These fenders are heavy gauged and will be around for a long time to come, much like they've been around a long time to get to now. But anyway, the story with this bike, and this is why I say be careful who builds your bike, at least to the best of your ability. You got to do a little homework. Or if you're building your own bike, take your time. If you have any problems, there's always a bike facility online that you can call and ask a question, which might help you out. Because one thing about these motorized bikes is they have to be perfectly put together. Anything you cheat on or think, oh, that'll be good enough, that is what will break and or leave you pedaling your bike or pushing it down the road. So everything has to coexist and work perfectly as it was intended. So anyway, moving on, let's check out this poor bike. I am going to disassemble the entire kit because, as you will see, from a labor standpoint, point of view, so many things were messed up on this bike that it was not worth repairing the mistakes. It would just cost this person twice as much labor-wise to fix everything that is wrong with this bike versus just starting over, doing it correctly the first time, and sending them out with a quality product. I did not videotape me giving this bike the once over because it just really wasn't worth it, and I had other things going on. But anyway, this individual was in a hurry. Everybody's always got that buddy that says, hey, I can get it together for you. Well, there's a difference in quality of work there. One, I would never send anybody out with their wires flapping in the wind and taped to the frame right next to the exhaust where they could melt. Also, and this doesn't keep it from running or anything, but it's just unquality work in my opinion. If the exhaust doesn't fit, I don't know if you can see that between the frame or not in the video, but can't we do a little better than just beating it to death with a hammer to give it a little clearance? The same thing with the front motor mount. People have been trying these rubber deals probably since the dawn of these things, and they don't work out correctly. The bike motor needs to be firmly attached to the steel frame. If not, it just vibrates, and actually through time it can move. So I'm not a fan of those. I'm personally going to put the welded steel mount on this bike frame for him, just like the factory motorized bike aluminum frames that come in the mail. I'm sure everybody's seen one of those or possibly owns one. But the steel mount, or in that case the aluminum engine mount, is a better way to go. Also, this does not fit this pipe, being that it is an old school bike and a smaller diameter pipe. So make the shim that fits the motor mount on the outside diameter, and the inside diameter would fit over the pipe and give it a nice snug steel to steel fit. That ensures your motor doesn't move through time. It's important that the motor stays stationary. Also, as you can see, they couldn't do an adequate job of trimming out the old fender, so let's just cut it with whatever we got, fold it over like a dog ear, maybe beat it with the same hammer we did the exhaust, because that's quality work to send somebody out riding on. Also, we go back to here and we see the large gouges in the sprocket. Whoever built this bike, that individual thought that, well, being as we can't get clearance from the brake arm, being this is a coaster brake bike, let's just get rid of it. You cannot do that because now you have absolutely no brakes. But this one gets a little better. Not only did they do that, I don't know if you can see in between there, down in there, but they didn't machine the sprocket out to make the dust cap fit, so we just took it out, threw it away. Down inside there, you can see the bearings. I see metal shavings. I don't know if the video is doing justice to that, but there's a ton of dirt, metal shavings in there. Because the individual did say this bike ran in the very beginning, but he had to go back like 8 times to keep getting stuff fixed, and then it finally just, well, pootered out, I guess would be the word, but it pootered out because of the quality of work. But anyway, this one gets better because not only do they take the brake arm off to stop with your coaster brake, they took all of the insides out of the wheel. So they sent this individual out with absolutely no kind of brake whatsoever. That's just going to get this person killed. How are you going to send somebody out with a motorized bike into traffic with absolutely no brake? It's just, it boggles my mind. Also, same thing with the gas tank. It is extremely helpful if the gas tank is tight and doesn't fall over when you're riding. As you can see, I moved that with my finger. And dump gas all over you, the hot engine. So you're either wearing gas, which is always pleasant, or you and the bike could catch on fire, which is always, once again, a good afternoon. Scooting around to this side. As I said, I give it a quick once over to see if it was worth saving. Well, as I was checking things over, I noticed the intake was not tight. So I went to tighten up the bolt, but let's not do that because all the threads are stripped out of the cylinder head. Not to mention, the carburetor is not the tightest thing I've ever seen. But as you can see, when I wiggle that, the entire intake, bolt and all, are not tight. Not to mention our lovely shim job of bolt, washer, nut, etc. Also, the clutch cable's frazzled, and I didn't think much about that. But for a relatively new bike, you don't even have to disengage or engage the clutch because they got in there and worked on that also. But like I said, I could fix it all, but then the bill would be twice as much for this person. So I encourage them, let's just start over. Had them purchase a new kit, which I have not gotten out of the box yet, obviously. And we're just going to start from scratch. So I will share what I do when this bike is completely revamped and he has a quality bike to ride, because I'm not sending any of my work out in any way, shape, or form like this person sent their work out. So my friendly advice today is do their homework the best you can to find somebody who's qualified, that has the correct tools to build your bike correctly, because that is massively important to its longevity and reliability. I've gotten tons of bikes throughout the years where guys just slapped them together and wondered why they had problems and broke chains all the time, and the motor gets loose and the engine studs break, and etc., etc. 90% of that was from not a quality start. It was half-assed when they took off, and half-assed always gets you broke down. All right, well, I hope everybody enjoys their afternoon, morning, evening, whenever you're catching this video. I am going to, like I said, disassemble this entire bike, and we are going to start from scratch.